Hi, I'm State Senator Chris McDaniel. I represent the 23rd District in the Kentucky State Senate. Geographically, that's the northern third of Kenton County. I also serve as the chairman of the Commonwealth's Appropriations and Revenue Committee, which means the Commonwealth's tax code as well as the biennial budget fall as part of my responsibility to draft and negotiate on behalf of the State Senate. This last year was unlike anything we've ever seen before in terms of the process and the way a budget was finally crafted. When the governor first presented his budget, he based it off of the Consensus Forecasting Group, which is a group of economists who tell us how much revenue to expect. At that point in time, we really hadn't begun to hear anything about the coronavirus. As it worked its way through the House, we began to hear a little bit more, but still not a whole lot. By the time it came to the State Senate, it was clear that something dramatic was happening in the public health sector, and we had to begin to make revisions. The Consensus Forecasting Group had provided an estimate that was mainly moderate in its approach. However, they did issue a pessimistic scenario based off of what they thought the worst case could be in December of last year. As we drafted our budget, instead of a normal 2-year budget where we would spend about $63 billion of tax revenue, of which about 1/3 is Commonwealth tax revenue and the other 2/3 are federal and what we call restricted funds, we decided that it was wisest to craft a 1-year budget. We did this because both the public health experts and the financial experts did not know where the economy was going to head. But we used the most pessimistic models possible. This resulted in some reductions that we simply didn't want to make, but also allows us the opportunity to return in January and craft another budget. That budget will be based off of much more accurate data and much more appropriate financial projections. Now, we may not have liked what we did, but by and large, we were able to hold higher education harmless. We were able to hold K through 12 education harmless, and we were also able to invest in a few small areas around the Commonwealth where we really felt like we were getting a good return on our investment, particularly here in northern Kentucky, some public school construction, and also a larger investment in the Governor's School for Entrepreneurs at NKU. This next year, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to at least hold steady with the appropriations that we have and potentially beef up a few other areas, in particular in the public health sphere where we have seen things depleted. The ongoing biggest issues confronting us, the newest obviously will be revenues. As people's incomes have declined, so have the Commonwealth's tax receipts. And then on the expenditure side, the state of the public pensions is in a pretty dark place. We already had a lot of struggles surrounding that sector, but the nature of a public pension is when the stock market returns reduce, the only option is to increase the amount of general funds that go into by a corresponding amount. And so consequently, with the investments that those folks have made as they present to us, I'm anticipating that they will not have been able to uphold the rates of return we needed them to, and consequently they will be asking for more general fund dollars. That has been the case ever since I've chaired this committee for the last 3 sessions in a row. So we'll have to see how that comes to fruition. So while I do know that there are uncertain times now, there are uncertain times ahead, just know that we remain committed to being responsible with the tax dollars that you entrust us with every single day, and that I view those as a personal responsibility because I realize that no tax dollar comes to the Commonwealth of Kentucky without someone who worked to provide that dollar, and I spend every one of them as if they were my own. So thank you very much for your time today. May God bless and continue to stay safe and healthy.